Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the G52OpenPlay podcast. That's confused the hell out of everyone that listens to the main podcast because I'm not Tom. And they're used to your voice.
They're generally confused when we start talking anyway. It's just a permanent state.
So we're assuming that most people are here because they listen to our Heresy podcast, the G52 podcast, but there may be one or two new listeners that have found their way from us spreading our word over the social media net.
Spreading our seed.
So my name's Stuart. I'm with Tom. And we're going to talk about everything that's not heresy, which is what we've been doing in some of our other podcasts anyway. So we decided to come up with a sort of a sister show, a place where we can safely talk about our wargaming sort of hobbies and interests that aren't related to Warhammer 30k and the Horus Heresy. So we've come up with Open Play. So without further ado, what have we got coming up on this show? So we're going to do a bit of a quick introduction for the people who don't know us. We're going to talk about ourselves, basically. Tom's going to love that bit.
I can talk about myself.
Then we're going to talk about some of the non-heresy hobby that we've been doing in the last sort of 6 months to a year or so. Some of the things that might be coming up in future episodes. And then I'm going to talk about a Middle-earth SPG tournament that I went to in January. And that'll be it then. Probably shouldn't be too much of a long show. Let's pass you over to Tom, who's going to introduce himself and tell us all about his lovely wargaming background and hobby and history.
Yeah. This is odd mainly because I'm normally the one who does all the talking.
It is odd. It's very strange.
It's very nice actually. I'm just sitting there thinking, shit, I don't have to say anything. So yeah, in brief, my main game for the last 2 to 3 years has been Horus Heresy. Most of you who listen to the regular show will know I'm a massive whack destroyer and general knobhead. But mainly I am into the Heresy. I love running events. We run a big event series for Horus Heresy events. So that's been a huge part of my hobby through the Heresy scene. I think we've done 5 events now. 4 events.
We did 3 this last year.
Yeah, 3 last year. Yeah, 6 events, 6 Heresy events over 3 years. I've also run a little Titanicus event. I've been involved in lots of other things. So, yeah, Heresy's been my main focus definitely for about 2 years. It was pretty much the only thing I did. On the side, to begin with, I played Warhammer 40k when I was a kid. I played Necromunda. It was epic 40k when I played. I didn't get into Space Marine or Titanicus. I played it when it was epic. That was about my age. So I used to play that as a kid and badly painted miniatures, the whole works, half-painted things. And I disappeared off. I discovered the joys of rugby and girls and beer for many, many years. It ruined my body and my mind and has left me the twisted, hulking mess of a person I am now. And probably about 4 or 5 years ago now, I got back into 40k. For those of you who are new to the show, we both play regularly at a place called Incom Gaming, which is a nightclub, come strip club, come tabletop gaming centre. It's a fucking weird setup, but it works. So
it's a strip club for 1 week of the year when the races are on.
No, every race week this year. Every race meeting now, so it's about 4 weeks a year.
Yeah, this is not combined. There's not
tabletop gaming upstairs and naked ladies downstairs. No. As much as that would be hilarious to do.
This place is safe for
it's definitely safe for
under
nerds.
18s. Yeah,
it's safe for under 18s, safe for nerds. But it's a nightclub at the weekends, and it's all kind of.
Just thinking, we got an advert coming up for Incom Gaming in a minute. I don't want to do a disservice for people who haven't been there.
And it's a great local hobby store run by a good friend of ours. So we play down there quite regularly. So I'm exposed to various other games down there. I've played in Blood Bowl leagues down there. Played Necromunda. I've mentioned. Played Titanicus. Dabble with 40k when I got back in. First of all, 7th Ed. Really, I was around at the time of the birth of formations in 40k, kind of the death of 7th Ed there. I've played card games, board games. I've played a lot of Star Wars Destiny. What else have I been playing? The Lord of the Rings, not the Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones card game. I've got a box of that. That's quite good. Never really got into it too much. So I do quite a fair bit over the years and fiddle around playing various different games and stuff. So that's what I've been doing for years. What have you? What's your history?
I'm a little bit older than you.
Nearly 10 years.
So I started back when I was 10, 11 probably. HeroQuest was the gateway thing, and then early White Dwarfs and pretty much everything back then. But I played probably more 40k in first and second ed than I did at any other time. In fact, I didn't really play any other editions until we got into using the 7th ed rules with Heresy over the last few years. Lots of fantasy. That was probably the game I kept returning to.
I dabbled in the side in fantasy, but my brother's Wood Elves used to just fucking destroy me constantly, and I got fed up with it, so I never played fantasy.
They were
too
quite.
much.
I think they were really good around 6th edition, if that was right.
They used to be able to not deploy in. They had like 40k unit coherency rather than rank and file, and they would just appear out of fucking woods and move super fast. And I didn't really know the rules because I was about 8, and my brother just used to roll dice and I used to take models off the table.
So this is how you learned how you play.
Yeah, that's literally my upbringing.
I played lots of systems. I think by the time I got to about 16, I was even dabbling in some historical stuff. And then, like you, I went to uni, decided that I wasn't going to tell people at uni that I liked toy soldiers, and it kind of all got shelved away, really.
Yeah.
Most of it got sold off. And I remember buying the first edition Lord of the Rings box when it came out. And I was past university then.
Well, Lord of the Rings is your big thing, isn't it? That's your big...
it's a nerd passion of mine. Yeah, it's probably the biggest nerd passion. I've read loads of fantasy books and stuff, but that was the thing that hooked me in as a kid. I remember maybe The Hobbit before I'd even played any games or anything like that. So, but I bought that because I love the films. Bought this box set, but I was in a shared house with mates. This is post uni, but still kind of living the dream in the early 20s.
Young man.
Yeah, and I bought the box, and I remember doing the whole sort of the shop of shame. I was in Worcester, lived in Worcester at the time. I was in Worcester, and I kind of hung around, walked past Games Workshop, checked around, make sure no one I could see that knew me would see me go in there. Bought this box, put it in a big bag, walked home, hid it under the bed, and got it out when no one knew I was around. So it's incredibly sad. Is that?
See what's sadder? Being proud of something you're passionate about, or hiding something. Yeah,
I wouldn't do that now.
But
it's amazing how you
get a bit
older and a little bit. You care a little bit less about what people.
You
think
come
about
out of the closet as a nerd, and you just think, "Fuck it, I'm happy. I'm passionate about this. It makes me happy. Why do I have to hide it?"
Well, times have changed a lot as well. The
it's
whole
definitely more social.
Culture is a lot more socially acceptable. The whole comic thing. There's big cons now. Back then, it was very much still socially unacceptable. So I still didn't really gain then. I bought it, didn't really do anything with it, and then I met my wife. She wasn't my wife when I met her.
I was going to say, that's fucking impressive, mate.
Surprised there as well.
My wife now, Dave.
So I met my wife. We as soon as I we got sensible and settled down, I started to sort of make some noises about maybe being interested in it and see how she reacted.
Bringing the odd model out on the
and
table.
She was like, yeah, do it. And
Don't
so
care.
I did. And I sort of got back in. That must have been about 12 years ago now.
Yeah.
I think, at least 10. And again, came back to 7th Ed Fantasy and 8th Ed Fantasy, played some War Machine, some Malifaux, and then kind of drifted away from GW games and then came back to GW stuff with Heresy when it went plastic.
Yeah, the Cow box
really
set was when we
me
both jumped.
I bought
back
the original Black Book when it came out, and a little bit of Forge World Resin, but again, I wasn't a 40k player, I was a fantasy player, and I didn't really get what was going on. I just really liked the novels and things. So met you one of the time, when we got back into Heresy, and then, that was, 3 years later?
It's snowballed and gone fucking
36 of the Heresy podcast, etc., and my gaming has mainly been focused on that. But I've been dabbling in some other things, which I'll talk about more after the break, really, when we talk about what armies we've been painting for other events and things. But that's my hobby background. So we'll take a little break now. When we come back, we'll talk about what sort of armies we've been building, what games we've been playing in a bit more detail, and bore you some more with some just general chatter. This is an indulgence, this podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, this is
it's got no real kind of value to you. We're not going to give you the latest news because we might drop one of these every 6 weeks, might be 2 months, depending on when we got time, because it's our sister
It's basically
show.
our way of not talking about all this other stuff that we do on our Heresy show, because otherwise our Heresy shows become 3-hour epics where we're not really talking about what we're meant to be talking about. So
and there's some very passionate Heresy players that really don't like anything else as well.
And there are a lot of Heresy players who do like other games, who can come along and find, we can keep the streams separate, as it was.
And if you're a Heresy player and this is in your feed and you're thinking, what's going on, this doesn't sound like a normal show, So you don't have to listen to it, just delete it.
No, just listen to it, because I'm going to say things at the end that are going to be a miracle, and I'm going to reveal some secrets. So I'm going to make you listen the whole way through and then not say anything.
All right, we'll catch you after the break.
G52 is sponsored by Incom Gaming, the new centre for tabletop wargaming in Gloucestershire. Visit incomgaming.co.uk for great savings on pre-orders and all your hobby needs. We stock many gaming systems and hobby accessories and can ship to anywhere in the UK. Incom Gaming is the only UK stockists of the market-leading gaming mats from gamemats.eu. Visit the store and check out how to turn your tabletop into a battlefield. Incom Gaming is based in the centre of Cheltenham and offers tables and scenery for casual and organised play with a fully licensed bar. Check out our events page for upcoming events where everyone is welcome. Save an additional 10% on Games Workshop Heresy products by using the code GINO52 at the checkout. Visit incomgaming.co.uk and help fight the betrayal. Incom Gaming. Come game, shop, drink. To shop elsewhere is heresy.
Welcome back. After that short break for you, slightly longer for us because we do what we normally do and go off on a tangent.
Made a cup of tea. Shout out Alan Cat.
Used to be beers.
It used to be beers, but then you
record on a school night now, don't we?
And you make me come round here now, and it's not quite so good to drink half a bottle of rum and drive home like a.
No, I wouldn't recommend it. So for this section, we're going to sort of talk about some of the games that we keep stopping ourselves from talking about on our main show. Talk about the things we're interested in, the things we might have bought or be painting, or Army's been working on last year or so. So as we mentioned, there's a bit of an indulgence, so bear with us. It's not going to be like this every episode, but it'll give you an idea of some of the things we might have as topics on future episodes. So, Tom, what other games are you into? What have you been playing?
Nothing. Heresy is the only game you can play.
That's it. No, please don't listen to the main cast.
No, I've been working. I dabbled with AOS. I got tempted by AOS a couple of times during the first edition of AOS. Never saw an army that grabbed me by the balls and said, "That's what I want." And we went up to Warhammer Fest, didn't we, last year? Mm-hmm. And it was the Nighthaunt stuff. They had the new black coach out, and we walked past it. I was like, "Yeah, I'm buying that. I'm buying that. That's it." And then
beautiful model.
And then seeing all the sheet ghosts out there, and I was like, I want to play ghosts. I want to play Ghosts and Ghouls. That's fucking wicked. That's so cool. And and then AOS 2 came out fairly promptly after that, didn't it? Or it was being teased around then. It was the AOS 2 release.
I think so. Yeah, I can't remember.
It was around Fest time, and Nighthaunt were coming in the box, and I was like, and I was stood down there, and Nori was there, and Nori was like, I want all the Stormcast, and I was like, I want all the Nighthaunt. He was like, do you want to split a box? I was like, well, I'm playing AOS now then, aren't I? So I've built and painted 1,000 points worth of AOS. I was supposed to go to a tournament in December at Incom, but life got in the way and I couldn't make it. It was a 1,000-point tournament run by Carl, which is generally freaking brilliant. It's a Sigmus event. It's run nearly every year at Incom. It's big now.
Really love to.
So I'm definitely, it's on my list.
That was going to be episode 1 of this.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and then life just got in the way. But now I'm planning to build up to 2,000. I've got a few more bits. I've got those Banshees that you bought me for Christmas. Mm-hmm. I've got those built and airbrushed, the glowy ghoulish effect on them. But okay, my work has just gone mental recently, and my hobby time has gone from someone who painted like 2 or 3 hours a day every day to like 2 or 3 hours a week now, if I'm lucky.
You're travelling a lot now.
I'm travelling a lot for work and stuff, but it's odd, isn't it? I'm now working more, earning more than I've ever earned. I've got no fucking time to do anything. So
you need to get that travel hobby set up.
Yeah. I'm working on it, but the problem is that I'm not doing a lot of overnighters at the moment as well. I'm doing a lot of I did Liverpool and back on Monday. Talked on the main
back exhausted, aren't you?
I'm leaving at 5 in the morning and getting back at 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm fucking knackered, and sitting down and painting for 20 minutes, and my eyes are tired, and my coordination's gone, and my concentration's gone, and I don't want to rush it. So
you need to get yours stuck on the M42 with travel set.
Travel set, yeah. So I'm a little bit slow with that, but I'm enjoying my painting at the moment. So AOS is a big thing. I've really enjoyed. Played about 5 or 6 games of it. I really enjoy it. Played with Table Tom of Heresy fame. He's got Scary Terry's warm band, his Corn War band. So we had a good smash up the other week. That was good fun.
Scary Terry.
Scary Terry's his leader of his Chaos, his Corn War band. It's also the name of his Night Castigator. So, but yeah, it's good. So I've played every game I've played of AOS. I've thoroughly enjoyed. I think I've talked about this before. Heresy plays with the 7th Ed 40k rules. It's an older style of rule set, and when you're in it, it's easy. I play it regularly. I'm quite happy with the rule set and the mechanics and how it works. It's not an easy rule set to learn when you compare it to something like AOS. I've played 4 or 5 games of AOS and feel like I've got as good a grip on the rule set as it. And I mean, I've been a firm proponent of. There are lots of things in the 8th Ed 40k that I don't like, but there are some major things that can be taken from that rule set and that are being taken from that rule set into other games like Necromunda and Titanicus that are really smart, so and AOS is brilliant. The models
easy to
are
learn,
stunning.
hard to master is the kind of modern
rules
design kind
I
of
can
ethos,
play
isn't it?
AOS, and anytime a rule question comes up, it's very easy to solve. I'm not good at AOS, but because it's all about synergies and knowing what to do with this and how that works and how to buff that and how to buff this and
then knowing what your opponent's stuff does.
Yeah,
and what
top
all
end
the other
AOS players are brilliant. It's by no means a simple game, but it's got the hook that I can throw some models out on the table, play a game and feel like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But want to play more of it. So it's got a huge hook. It's addictive. So I've been doing that. I've gone to get up to 2k with my Nighthaunt army. I'll probably buy Nagash at some point because I wanted that model for ages, but it's a bit difficult to fit him in an army properly because he's 800 fucking points. But
that's an easy way to get up to 2k, I suppose.
Oh yeah. Well, it was basically one model. Nah, probably not the right. But I'll probably do that at some point because I wanted to paint that model for years. I just want to get Nagash and sit and paint him. But again, there's so many models I want to paint. And with having no painting time at the moment, it's really hard to justify going out and buying that model, knowing that it'll sit on the shelf for 6 months.
If you buy it, and then by the time you get around to doing it, something new will have come along, and your focus will have changed, and then you kind of.
So it's sat there, and I will do Nagash at some point, but life needs to change a little bit. I play a lot of Necromunda as well. I haven't played for a little while, but I bought the Necromunda box when it came out, and I got a Goliath gang out of it. I sold my Escher gang off because I like Goliath. I played Goliath when I was a kid. That was my thing. Got a really nice Goliath gang built and painted up, and I've been playing that. But Caldor were always my gang, so I've been waiting for the models to come out for those, and they've come out now, and I'm working my way through painting them because they are so cheap body-wise to put on the table. My Goliath gang, starting at 1,000 credits, is about 8 models, it's about 6 or 7 models really. So there's not a lot to paint. My Caldor gang, I'm a full 10 models to scrape 1,000 points and 1,000 credits, and they've got shitloads of gear. So they're designed that way. They're supposed to be like a horde army of Necromunda. But I'm building and painting. I'm painting them one at a time as well because I'm really enjoying the models. The models are stunning, and they're putting a lot of time and effort into them. And they keep getting sidetracked by heresy projects and everything. But so I haven't played for a few months because I've been sort of want to play my Caldor.
Yeah,
and I don't want to play my Goliath, so
until they're done,
I'm sort of in this weird situation, and I put everything on corks when I paint, so my models aren't based, so I can't play with them, and I do that deliberately as well because I don't want to play them till they're painted. I'm definitely in the fully painted. The fully painted thing from Heresy is my bag. I don't play things unpainted.
Yeah.
So that's been good. Necromunda's really good. I love Necromunda. I've bought all of the bloody additional characters, all the extra Forge World models, everything, because I just think the models are the best models out there in the world at the moment. The Necromunda models, they are so unique and so much style, and I just buy them, and they're just all sat in a pile of shame to paint at some point. So I'm going to get around to them as well. I'm a piss poor Blood Bowl coach as well. I bought goblins. I play goblins again. I have a 16-man roster with my goblin team. I'm playing people with Chaos Dwarves, and they're like, I've got 8 players, and if you kill one, I'm screwed. I'm like, I got 12 players, kill my goblins. I love it, because you just run goblins into people. They're like, I killed a goblin. I'm like, yeah, great, fucking sack him. So with Blood Bowl, you skill up players, and most teams, it's all about getting those skills up. I get a goblin that gets a skill, I sack them. Not fucking worth it, they're too expensive then. So what's a Human Blitz? A Human Blitz is like 70,000 credits.
Yeah.
Gold coins to buy. A goblin's 20,000. So you run 10 goblins on the pitch. Fucking goblins just fucking horde, and they just throw them around, and they're just absolute carnage.
I'm going to be tempted. I used to play Blood Bowl, and I've got the new edition, but I've not really played it much. I will be tempted when they do the halfling team, and they will eventually. They will get around to it, and then we'll have some great games because we'll both have shit teams. But there'll be some really funny games.
That's carnage. But there's a really good Blood Bowl league run by Alistair and Chris and stuff at Incom, and they're actually running the Gloucestershire Blood Bowl league now. So they've teamed up with another club down in Gloucester. So Incom's based in Cheltenham. There's another club in Gloucester. They're playing an inter-club league now, and it's got like 20, 30 players signed up to it.
It'd be good.
It's a really good league. Alistair's amazing. Alistair's quite big in the NAF. I don't know what that stands for, but it's the Blood Bowl. It's like the Blood Bowl community. They're a very well-organised community of running events and stuff. Because Blood Bowl wasn't supported for a long, long time.
They were the gatekeepers of the rules.
Yeah, they kept the community rule book going. They kept the game going, for a long, long time. But Alistair runs big events. They run a lot of sevens events as well, which is great. So it's normally 12 players on a Blood Bowl team, and they run sevens. So it's like rugby sevens, but it's designed as like the amateur version of it. Right. So it's like Alistair gives it great. It's like if Blood Bowl is Premiership football, his sevens games are the pub football team. It's like pub Sunday league football. Sunday. I mean,
so you got no star players.
And if your players get too many points, too many skills, they get nicked up to the leagues and they disappear. So if you skill up players too much, they disappear.
I like that.
So it's really cool. It's supposed to keep it really simple, really fast. And I mean, they'll play on a Thursday night. They'll have an event. They'll have 3 games on a Thursday night. They're like 45-minute games. And it's really quick, really brutal, really fast game, and it's brilliant. The guys are really good. I mean, they play really well. They went off to Euro Bowl this year as well, and they finished they finished really well. The guys, they played some really good Blood Bowl. They play online a lot as well. They play Blood Bowl online, and they're really keen game. Which is why I get my ass kicked by them constantly because they're really fucking good.
Yeah.
But I just take the moral victory.
The top of their game, whatever system it is. Especially with Heresy. It's there's no tournament scene. It's a narrative events that people go to, so that people aren't winning things for winning games. Whereas every other system has got some kind of tournament scene.
League.
So when you play games occasionally, bits here and there, and you come against players who would be ranked in the top of whatever game system they play, you're gonna struggle about.
But they're really good fun. And it's great because I play goblins, and they all like to play me because they think they're gonna get an easy run in. But the goblins they're chaotic. Like there's no you can play. They tier their teams quite well in Blood Bowl. They have tier 1 teams, tier 2 teams, and their goblins are like 3rd or 4th tier. But they've got the element. They've got the ability to really mess up games. So like I can score one turn touchdowns immediately with a Doom Diver and a Troll. I just pick up the ball, run it to the Doom Diver. The Troll throws it. The Doom Diver can fly the entire length of the pitch and land in the touchdown. And there's almost nothing you can do to stop it. But it relies on me making like quite a few 4 and 5 up like rolls in a row, and it does get there, and I do it quite regularly. And it just it messes with the way so a lot of Blood Bowl games 1-2-1, 1-0, 2-1, 2-2, things like that. Goblins can be like 3 or 4 touchdowns because I just let you score, and then I just go back and I just score straight away, and you've got to come back at me then, and it really messes with the tempo of the game. But then on the same hand, I'll do it, and I'll just roll like 3 ones. I'm like, oh, fuck, the whole thing's fucked now. I've got the ball, and I can't fucking get anywhere. I'm just going to get murdered by everybody. And my Troll's stupid, and my Chainsaw's fucking chopped himself in the face, and everything falls apart. And it's hilarious. I just play it for shits. Blood Bowl's a real shits and giggles game for me. But it's really good, and the guys who play at the club are great. It's really good fun. Played a lot of X-Wing in version 1. Haven't moved to version 2. Got a bit cheesed off with it was going to cost me 70 quid to make my stuff valid, and it was a side game. But we were just having a conversation like, I'll play X-Wing. If I play X-Wing now, I'll play it version 1. So I did that for a long time. I enjoyed that, like X-Wing. I'm a bit of a Star Wars nerd, so anything Star Wars is pretty good for me. Played Star Wars Destiny as well. And I'm not a massive fan of card games because I struggle with you got to keep buying to keep up. Like, it annoys me that, especially when it's a side game, I'm quite casual with it. But I've got 4 decks now. They're probably like in the scene. They're probably all bloody illegal in Legacy and not valid anymore and stuff. But
you can buy the starter sets and they play quite nicely against each other if you just.
Well, I've got 4 decks, 2 good decks and 2. 2 good and 2 evil decks. So you can play, and they do sort of narratively match up against each other. So if me and you want to play, I'll just bring them down, and we can change between decks and play different decks.
I think I've got 3. I can't remember what I've got. My wife and I play the same thing, and we play just for fun as well. So we go with the decks as they come in the box as well. We take it turns. We swap characters around, and we have a game of each, and that's it. We're not there trying to kind of meta it or build the deck to make it more powerful because we don't. That's it. We play it as a beer and pretzels game.
I do a fair bit. I like to paint busts and stuff, so 75mm and 110mm and larger scale models and stuff as well. I don't do a lot of it. Time. I love doing it, but I haven't got the time. So I paint some bits and pieces on the side like that. And it's something that's what I really enjoy at the moment, doing stuff like that. Plans for the future then? More AOS, more Necromunda. Enjoy that. We keep talking about getting a Shadespire box between us. So there's a lot of guys at the club who play Shadespire, and it looks like a really good game. But again, it's one of those ones where I think you've got to be in it to keep up and keep at the top level. Yeah. So I just like the models mainly. I really like the models. So we've talked about splitting a box set at some point, just so we've got, if we want to sit and have a beer on a night.
Well, there's two starters now, isn't there?
There's the Underworlds, Shadespire Underworlds, which was the old starter, and now it's season 2, which is
it's actually called Underworlds, isn't it?
Yeah,
Shadespire was the first box.
Yeah, it's still Shadespire. It's Underworlds. It's Night Vault now.
Night
Vault, and that's brought magic in and some different stuff. But it's more like they don't want to call it second edition because it's not a second.
It's the same
but this is the next season. So they're GW doing the 4-quarter tournament season like FFG do.
Uh-huh.
So they have seasons now. So the Night Vault was the launch of the season 2, and they use it for erratering and FAQ and balancing and stuff. But it plays through, so it comes from a local gaming shop store as well. So you get the quarter tournament packs and the prize support, and that's how anyone familiar with FFG and Final Fantasy games and X-Wing and the way those sort of things run. That's how they've done it. The quarter tournaments that go to regionals,
it's a
and nationals.
really lucrative business model, isn't it?
For a tournament game, it's massive, and GW definitely that's what they've done with Shadespire is get into that tournament scene like that. Want to do some kill team for 40k. Like I said, 40k has always been a passion. I love 40k. It's just the setting. It's what I've always adored from a kid. I'm not massively keen on the 40k scene, the tournament scene. I don't like that. That's not what I enjoy about 40k. But kill team seems to offer a really nice a balance of. It's not so competitive, but it's got all the models. And I can buy. I want to do Gene Stealer Cult, but I don't want to buy a 2,000 point Gene Stealer Cult army.
It allows you to play around in the setting, a laid back game or something without feeling the need to. You haven't invested loads of money.
I've always wanted an Orc army, but I don't want to paint 40 Orc boys. But I can paint 10 Orc boys and have a little Orc kill team and go to town on it now. I've got 12,000 points of 30k. That's my big. I don't want to paint another 2,000 point army for another game. So games like kill team, skirmish games and stuff really appeal. So kill teams in the future as well. I want to get the Game of Thrones game. I played that with Dawson. So the Song of Ice and Fire game that Call Me Leonard did. It's 35mm scale.
Looks
so
good.
It's skirmish style. So
on movement trays.
Yeah, so you've got like models wise 20, 30 models on the table if you're going big. But it's rank and file, and it plays, pivots and movement trays. So it plays like old school fantasy, but you don't need to paint 200 models to play it. And because they're 35mm scale, they're a little bit more bigger, a little bit more detailed. They're
a bit Kings of War size.
Yeah. It's really, really good. I really enjoyed the game. It played really nicely as well. It's that FF. It's kind of that modern style blend of cards and a few tokens and resources, and you've got non-combat characters as well. So you'll have like Cersei Lannister, who doesn't take active part in the battle but does things off the side. So you've got like influence and things. So it does mesh that kind of thing with Game of Thrones, where you've got the battle, but you've also got things going on the side. So like you can claim a certain influence on something, which will have an effect on the game. So it might be you can claim a bonus for a combat or bonus for the resource gathering element. So you can do things. So you've got other elements going on as well as the rank and file battle.
Yeah, it sounds pretty.
It's really good. It's a really smart game.
I'll give it a go, definitely. Again, it's even painting 30, 40 models at the moment.
It's still a lot, yeah. You've got the Harry Potter game to play. You stopped me buying that.
That was one I was allowed to buy with non-hobby money because the wife loves Harry Potter as well. So we've definitely got that.
Yeah, so that's me. It's a bit sporadic at the moment. My biggest problem is, for a lot of people, a lot of people out there probably think, well, you paint 2 or 3 hours a week. That's pretty good going, And it is. A lot of people don't get that opportunity. I'm in a flux at the moment because I've gone from being able to paint 2 or 3 hours a day every day. I used to knock out armies left, right, and centre. And my life has moved on and changed with the work. I don't have that time now, so I have to reevaluate my projects because I don't have the time to mock out stuff. And I get frustrated, like my Star Wars Legion stuff has sat there unpainted for fucking nearly a year. And I did have a think the other day, and I was like, do I really want this? Because it's just sat there and it's not going anywhere. So I'm not reevaluating because I've lost my passion for hobbying. I love gaming.
If you're never going to use
but
it.
if I'm not going to use it, and it depresses me as well. It actually stops me wanting to paint when I go in and think, oh, fucking hell,
mine's unpainted. I built it.
Yeah.
It's unpainted. And to be honest with you, it's probably when I need that bottom shelf of my display cabinet. It's the only shelf with unpainted models on. And I'll need it soon.
Yeah.
It will go back in the box, but I won't get rid of it because Jacob...
he's a big passion for Star Wars.
My son is 4, so he loves Star Wars. And he loves those. He's been looking at those, eyeing those models up for years, and that will probably be the first game I try him with, because if you can strip back the rules and just use the opposed dice, can't you? So,
and if you're playing with him at that age, it's not really about having painted models.
I will paint it then, but it will give me the kind of the kick that it'll once he's kind of able or interested in playing, and I think I'll be able to catch his attention for an hour, and he will roll the dice and pay attention to it. At the moment, he's still kind of...
He's not quite there,
He's not quite there.
I think it'll be when he hits school and he's got to concentrate.
Another year, maybe. Yeah. But once he does, then it'll be like... Then I'll be like, I want to get this painted so that we can...
I'm not selling that ATST because I've wanted that. I wanted that from as soon as I saw it, and I still haven't fucking got around to building and painting that. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to. I'm quite a drifter in terms of games. I like to fiddle around with other stuff, and I have lots of ideas of games I want to play, but I'm relatively realistic about what I can actually achieve. So what about you then, Stu? What have you been doing and what are your plans?
A lot of them are similar things. And obviously I butted in on a couple of points because it was relevant, really. Probably less games than you. I used to be the kind of gamer that would say, oh yes, I play 5 or different systems and I had an army for this, an army for that, and in reality it doesn't really work very well. So when I started playing Heresy, I pretty much got rid of everything.
Yeah.
And boiled it all down. Right, I'm going to have one system. I'm going to focus on one system, and then slowly over the last sort of 3 years or so, other things have crept in. So I've already mentioned I picked up Legion when it came out. I've stopped buying stuff for it now because there's releases all the time, and there's some really cool ones. Stuff from Rogue One now. There's some amazing stuff.
You have to do that judgment against. Is it it's buying stuff to have it sit on the shelf for a long time?
I'm not playing at all, and I haven't played a game of it either. I built it, I read the rules, and I was like, I'm going to get into this, and I've been doing other things. So. It's going to end up being packed away until, as I said a minute ago, until Jacob's ready.
You've got that kick to do it then.
And it's, to be fair, as much as I like GW's games, he loves Star Wars, and and the rules are easier to strip down to real basic. Even if you just strip it to the dice and go, right, you've got these dice, tell me what the hits are, tell me what the misses are. And this is how you measure, and you can strip it right back. So I think it will be a perfect way of introducing him to miniatures.
But that's the sort of thing that will get him in to then think. He'll go, I like playing.
I
like playing
with
toy
else.
soldiers. Oh, I like the looks of those Space Marines. Okay, well now you're keen and you're interested in it. Now we can spend some time going through some more complex mechanics because he's already got that initial. I want to spend time doing this.
Well, he painted his first Space Marine.
He did, didn't he? Yeah, painted better than I do.
I've got a little paint station for him, actually, I picked up at the event, the SPG event. I won it as a prize. So built it up for Jacob, and he painted his first Space Marine the other day, and I had to dig out some other models from the bits box so he painted a couple of orcs and a dwarf as well. So he's definitely got the nerd bug under there. But... most of the things, I bought Necromunda when it came out, like you did. Yeah. Unlike you, I've done nothing with it. It's still on sprue. That will be a plan for this year, later in the year at some point. But I won't use anything in the box probably, so I'm probably going to do a Venator gang.
Yeah.
And I'll use that as an excuse to kind of kit bash and build all those kind of Inc 28 style models that I want to do and turn that into a gang. So I'll touch on my kind of painting and modelling side there. If I didn't mention it at the beginning of the show, people that are new to this, I work my job as a commission painter, so there will be quite a lot of painting chat on these. Tom's a big painter himself, as he mentioned. He's been to lots of painting courses and stuff with Cult of Paint and things like that. So you will hear painting talk and talk of airbrushes and equipment and stuff.
I think it's fair to say that both of us are more on the painting side of the hobby, painting and modelling side of the hobby than the gaming side. Neither of us are particularly super tough tournament gamers. I tend to play more
games than I do. So
a lot of that's down to family commitment stuff. I mean, you've got a young family, though you're older than me. You've got a young family. I've got a teenage daughter. There's a long story there. So I'm at a slightly different point in my life where I've got a family, but I can go out and do more than you necessarily can. So I tend to play more and get away at the weekends for gaming more. Because with you being a commission painter, so you're the stay-at-home parent as well, aren't you? So
yes,
you tend to have more commitments with the weekend as well.
That's slowly changing. I was doing more and more. In fact, we've got a second child due in April, and the wife will be in 4 and a bit weeks. She'll be on maternity until New Year 2020. So my 30 hours a week painting will go up to full time for that period as well. So things will swap round. I should have more time. I should have more weekends free to go and play games. But it all depends on how easy this new baby is compared to the first one. But I've picked up Necromunda, and it's very much going to be on the to-do list. But in terms of other game systems, AOS, around the same time as you did, decided, I'm going to give this a go.
Yeah.
I'm an old fantasy player, and very much like you, none of the factions are really kind of dragged me in. Beautiful models, but nothing that made me think, I've got to do this.
I've got to go and get that, yeah.
And I was an old Empire player and an old Dwarf player. And those factions, should we call them, have changed a lot. Yes, you can use the old Dwarves, but you've got the new ones, which I like, but it just didn't give me that feel.
It's not the same feel, is it?
And the kind of the Empire side of things, there's nothing new. There's no new models. So I wanted to pick something up with, at least with some new models. I think it's coming in the
next year, though. I think we'll see they've started bringing the free guilds in and stuff now a bit more. I think there's a line.
It'll have to be very new in terms of its, because they want to make everything very IP focused now. So
but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure how it'll do it, but there might be the odd new unit.
Yeah.
So I ended up picking up Stormcasts.
Yeah.
And originally I was nowhere near. I wouldn't go. Probably the last army I'd have chosen. But as the background, the narrative for the game's changed, and the models have changed,
they've humanised
them a little bit. And they unfortunately just released some bare heads as well for them. Didn't have them in time for when I painted my army, but I like that kind of element. And then I've painted them in quite a dark, gritty style, the same as I would my Heresy army. So there's kind of some weathering on there, so they're not all kind of heavy metal, clean, pristine,
gold, shiny.
Yeah, and I don't mind that style of painting, but I quite like it to look a bit gritty and a little bit. So I've painted a 2,000
that's why we need
army.
To have a game, because my Nighthaunt are very dark. The palette's dark and quite grim, and I think it would be a real grim looking battle.
Well, my stuff's ready to go. I've got 2,000 points.
I can do 1,000. you should just keep.
No, I will not play until you've painted. No, we do need to very soon, because we can. Well, I haven't played a game of it yet either. Yeah. It's weird. If I'd have put money on what second game I would have played other than Heresy when I started painting that army, it would have been that, not the other things I've been playing. But and then the other thing I've kind of picked up, and I'll give you more detail in the next segment, is Middle Earth. So I think they released an edition in September. I've always loved Lord of the Rings. It was my first geek love. As we alluded to at the intro, I bought a first edition and hid it under my bed. I have owned lots of editions. I think I've owned at least 3 editions of the game, maybe 4. But never played a game or never really painted any of the miniatures. Yeah. And I didn't buy it when it came out in September. There was something out for Heresy then. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah,
so it was Titanicus came out.
Yeah, Titanicus.
So we haven't really mentioned it, but both of us played Titanicus, and we cover that in our main cast because it's always Heresy related, because it's under that heading. So if you are if you're new to this and you are interested in Titanicus, go and look at our other our back library, because we've covered it quite a bit.
Yeah.
So picked up. I wasn't really till December I decided, right, that's it, I am going to play SPG. I picked up a starter and a few other bits.
And smashed out the biggest Horde army you can probably do in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, fairly quickly. Well, the plan was to paint it early December, get some practice games in before the event, and then play this event, which we'll talk about in more detail after this.
So make some people sick. How many hours did you think you put into that?
I don't know.
I reckon you probably...
Because I didn't do it all in one chunk, because I did it...
I reckon you did the whole army in 20 hours ish.
No, it was more than that. Definitely more.
You were just like, you sent me a picture of like, I've airbrushed the colours on the big, like, was it like 30 models in the militia?
I've done 48. It's Survivors in the Lake Town.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go. I wanted some of the newer sculpts.
Yeah.
As much as I really like Gondor, but the plastics for Gondor are very, very old.
Dated, yeah.
And they've just brought out loads of new Forge World sculpts, which might have changed my mind now, but they weren't out in time. So I wanted something with newer sculpts, and I really like the Survivors of Lake Town, the way it looks. I like the Bard model. You can have Gandalf there, you can have Bilbo. So got to have a Hobbit in there. I thought, I'll go for them. But I've painted 48 militia.
Yeah. Did it in like 20 hours and goes and wins?
No, I think in total... it was for the 48 militia and the 3 characters, so Gandalf, Bard, and Bilbo. It was about 40 hours.
40 hours, yeah. Just casual 40 hours and smash it out and do it in a couple of weeks and win best painted.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a bit. But it's it was
Yeah,
I
it's awesome.
needed to get it done. Didn't really get any practice games in. We'll talk about that in the next episode. But anyway, so I've kind of tripped into SBG in a big way.
Yeah.
And then my other focus is painting, like I said before.
Yeah.
Plan for this year, 2019 was supposed to be the year of not painting any armies. Not obviously for work because I'm a commissioned painter, but
personal hobby
was supposed to be no army painting because I've got 2 heresy armies. I've got a full AOS army all painted, ready to go, and just focus on practicing display level painting because much of my day-to-day work is armies for people.
Yeah.
I get to do characters and things, but I might spend 10 hours on a character, not the 40, 50 hours I need to really, really push my skills. So that was the plan. It's changed a little bit because they've got rid of the mini golden demons at the open days. So for those of you again who don't listen to the main cast, they used to have a mini golden demon at each of the open days, so the Forge World open day, the AOS open day, the 40k open day, and so on and so on, alongside Fest. They've stripped it back now, so golden demon is only at Warhammer Fest
and Warhammer Fest Europe.
So, and I'll only be going to Warhammer. I won't be going to. I won't be going to Europe this year, not with the new baby in the way. So it was a kind of I'm not going to be able to do 10 pieces. I'm going to maybe get 2 done for May. So I'm going to focus on getting 2 to 3 things done for May. But the rest of the year, I'll have a bit more spare time. So I'll probably
once you pass GD Golden Demon in May, you're going to be sort of. I
still want to do some more display painting then, but I will probably do the Venator gang.
Yeah.
Because I want to make them more than just tabletop standard as well. Because there's so few models, I might as well try and make them sort of a little bit higher than normal. Yeah. I'll add a couple of units here and then to my heresy stuff, but I've got a bit of time to put some SPG in.
Yeah, you'll do some more. Yeah.
Let's see the Pelennor box, the new starter.
Yeah.
You've got a Mordor army in the box. All you need to do is go and buy 3 or 4 heroes, blisters, and you've got a really decent size. You've got probably 600 plus points in the box. Yeah. So you spend 40 quid and you've got 800, maybe 1,000 points, depending on what you go. So you've got some Dead of Dunharrow in there.
Yeah.
It's 20 in the box. Well, they've just released the 3 Hunters. I don't know if you've seen it. Yeah. So it's Aragorn, Legolas and Gimli. Yeah. And then there's a new supplement called Gondor War, and there's rules to run them basically when he comes out, when he's got
Army of the
Dead going on the attacking the Corsair ships. So that's an army list now.
Yeah.
So when I bought those models because I like them, and I've got 40 dead now. So I picked them up off eBay.
Well, might as well pay another army.
That's like 1,000 points probably. I reckon for 700 points you're going to get under 20 dead and those 3 characters. So well, that's an army in a box. I can airbrush all those dead in an afternoon probably. And then the characters, a couple of hours on each, really back. I could probably knock an army out in a day. So I will do that, and I will do the Mordor that's in the box.
Yeah, see, I like Lord of the Rings. I like the sound of the SPG games and stuff. For me, the reason I don't play it is a purely commitment of time.
Yeah,
I've got enough going on without having.
You were tempted by Rohan until I tell you have to paint the dismounts.
I was like, fucking hell, it's twice the army then. But we've talked about it. So if you do a second army, I'll play.
I reckon I'll have 4 by mid-year.
Yeah, so we'll play some games because for me it's not I don't want to play. I don't like the game or I don't like the setting. It's just a priorities list. I'd love a Lord of the Rings army. It's just low down my priority list of things I want to do. So
makes sense totally. It's a weird thing. It's normally you get a starter set. You're talking about it with AOS. You sell the half you don't want, and normally I'd have done that. Yeah. But I'm actually thinking, well, I'm going to just do a little force with that and do a little force with this, and I need an evil army, so I'll do the Mordor, and then that leaves me with a Rohan. I don't know what I'll do with them. I might paint them, might not. But
you're just a proper addict for it.
I am. But so Golden Demon. I think I was a tangent there. Golden Demon. I'm going to do I've got a Gundabad Troll. That's already primed, ready to go. So I definitely will be painting that. I'm going to probably do an Arcanor Ironclad, which is the biggest of the what are they called? What are the AOS dwarves called?
Fucking space dwarves, sky dwarves. All I can think is
that it's just disappeared from my brain.
All I can think about is the Legends of the Painting Man descriptions of them. That is not what they're called.
Tangent for people then. So if you like
stupid,
quite sweary comedy podcasts, there's something called the Legends of the Painting Man, which is 2 American comedians, proper touring comedians as well, that do TV and stuff, who play AOS. There's not a lot of AOS chat in it. It's very tangent heavy, but it's absolutely hilarious.
Caradon Overlords.
Caradon, why did I forget that? It's really weird.
Yeah,
So,
no, I completely went from my man. All I could think of is the descriptions they give of space pirates and ether things and all kinds of shit.
I'm never going to have an army of those, and I really love that model, so I thought I'll paint that for Demon. I like painting bigger things because I use my airbrush a lot, and I might do a termite as well for sort of 40k stroke heresy goodness. But that's all I'm going to do for that. So that's my kind of mix of what I've been playing and what I've got coming up or what I plan to do this year. Right, so unless you have anything else to add, we will...
No, I'm being distracted on the Games Workshop website by looking at...
things you haven't got time to play.
I'm looking at all the Carrion Empire stuff and looking at the Flashy at Court stuff and going, because I can run them in a Grand Alliance death. And what I didn't realise is they're doing a very clever thing. They do the collections and boxes and the box set, and then they do the essentials bits. So you can just buy like the cool bits out of the box set for your army. They do the Terrorgeists and stuff, the big fucking undead dragons and stuff. Like, ooh.
Some really cool stuff for that.
Yeah, anyway, let's get off to the
Yeah,
Games Workshop
let's go
website.
for a break. When we come back, I'll bore you with more slightly excited SBG talk. Has your performance been letting you down recently? Have your bombs been jettisoned before your mission was complete? Do you find yourself accidentally rolling too early? Has your bag dropped its load before the game? Then Grayed Out Productions have the answer. Michael's handcrafted dice bags are a must-have for any tabletop gamer prone to spilling their pearlescent gaming A's before they're ready. Why not check out Grayed Out Dice Bags on Facebook, at their website at www.gradeoutproductions.com, or find them on Etsy. Grayed Out Productions are the only place where you can get the official G52 podcast dice bag. And Geno listeners can get 10% discount by entering Geno52, all in words, at the checkout in the Etsy store. Get control of your load today. And we're back again. Like that
itch you just can't get rid of.
We've been a lot cleaner, haven't we, on this? It's like even though it's the same audience, we're acting like it might be a different audience. Foolishly thinking that people might come along and go, oh, what's this? So for the final segment today, we're going to talk about SBG, really. Talk about the event I went to. I'm not going to go in great detail round by round on my games. I will mention the opponents and at a basic level how I got on.
You're not going to talk about every dice roll of every game because it just...
Well, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm so new to this game, and this is going to be the thing. So I'm going to turn it, talk about the event a little bit, and then also sort of cover really what my first impressions are of it as a new player coming into the community, because I think it might... There's an angle there, I suppose, that there's no point in me coming in and giving you a run by run.
You can't give a tactical, in-depth
I can't.
analysis because you've got a fucking clue what you're doing.
I'm terrible at this game at the moment, but I'm enjoying it, and that's the main thing. So what I'm going to start with, and then butt in and ask any questions if it comes up. What I'm going to start with...
I will do, because I haven't got a fucking clue about this game.
And I figured that most of our listeners will be our normal crowd, and they probably don't know anything either. Yeah. And I know I know a few people play the game. We may be a couple of people that the locals I've met who play the game that might listen to this. So apologies for all the shit I get wrong. And if you do know SBG, again, apologies to you too.
And if you're new to the Geno, or you're new to the Geno organization, you'll know to never fucking trust anything we say. It's always fucking wrong, especially anything I say.
But I thought I'd give a real basic overview of the game and how it works, and I mean kind of bullet point level stuff. So the game's in its 6th edition, I think. The latest edition came out in September last year.
Yeah,
as a new box set, and
so this might be a question a little bit. You used to have the Lord of the Rings, and the Hobbit, and it was Hobbit strategy battle game and Lord of the Rings. Yeah, it's all now in one, isn't it? It's no.
It was all one game anyway.
But it was kind of I remember when I've looked at it, I was like, well, what rule book do we need? Do we need the Hobbit rule book? And then there was the Hobbit there and back again rule book. It's now all under Middle Earth strategy battle game, and that covers both eras concisely, doesn't it?
It's to do with licensing.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit stricter for the guys that do this. On all the other IPs. GW. So this team have to work within the restrictions they've got, and they can make
cinema.
So it's New Line cinema and whatever Tolkien Estates things, and they've got rights to the Lord of the Rings book.
Yeah,
and I think appendices.
Yeah,
The Hobbit, and the films.
Yeah.
They can't go and do Silmarillion or any of these other things.
Yeah.
So they can only do those things. So God knows what will happen when this new Amazon series comes out.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be. I imagine they wouldn't immediately be able to go and produce anything from that without getting a new license.
Yeah.
So originally it was Lord of the Rings strategy battle game because those films came out first. I think GW had its most successful years ever. They outsold 40k and fantasy back in the early 2000s when it came out. It was huge.
Those films and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was mainstream.
Absolutely. So, and then you got your strategy games and the battle games and Middle Earth books. People might remember.
Yeah.
Pick up the D'Agostini books with the Citadel miniatures on the front. So it was big, and there's been lots of additions to the game. The Hobbit version came out when the Hobbit films came out, but it was the same. Essentially, it's the same game. They just put Hobbit on the top because that was the latest thing. And they had army books to go. A game came with them, so you'd have lists for your Lord of the Rings miniatures would still play as part of the Hobbit strategy battle game. It's just a title. They've recently, I think it was a year ago or a year and a half ago.
It's become more concisely now.
Middle
Earth.
They signed on, extended their contract, extended the license effectively, and then when that license came, that's where Middle Earth strategy battle game got its combined name.
Yeah, it's given it a more just tidied up the product line.
They released something called Battle Companies, which is like a bit like a Necromunda version, it's like a skirmishy kind of version of the game, and that came under the Middle Earth heading. But the first main rule book was in September. It's been followed up. So you got your cool rule book. It's been followed up since then with your armies of Lord of the Rings. So it's all your army lists for Lord of the Rings armies, and then your armies of the Hobbits, or all your army lists for the Hobbit based things. And you can ally them. There's 3 levels of ally. There's green, there's amber, and there's red. I think on previous editions, people would just ally any shit to make the game
it was
good.
It was evil and evil and good. Nobody gave a shit.
But you'd end up with very non-narratives. You'd have people from different, like someone from the second age of Middle Earth and the same army. Whereas now, the ally system means you can take anything you want as long as it's evil or good.
You get bonuses for being narrative.
Or you keep your bonuses because you have an army bonus, so you keep it. And the game, it seems a little bit more balanced. I didn't play previous editions, but the general chatter is that it's working. The balance is working. People are kind of encouraged to take thematic lists.
led, armies that would likely be sat on a table. They look. What's on the tabletop reflects what would be in the book.
Yeah, you've not got I don't know, Bilbo with a second age elves or something stupid like that. You're going to have stuff that actually makes sense. So the game's I feel like it's in quite a good place in terms of all the releases are out in a fairly short period of time. They've just released Gondor at War as well, which is
an expansion book.
It's a campaign book. I think it's 29 scenarios, which leads you from I think it's when Osgiliath was first lost. And then it sort of runs all the way through. To the Black Gate. Right, that kind of era. So there's 29 different scenarios. Really good stuff.
The Return of the King film, essentially.
Yeah, with the extras.
With that kind of
all
era.
the prequels, with a bit of your Boromir standing on the walls shouting.
Yeah.
So all of those scenarios really, really good. But then there's something called Legendary Legions in there as well, which are effectively themed smaller army lists.
Yeah.
I think you said the other day it's like a formation.
Yeah.
In a good sense, not people that hated.
There's
people
nothing
wrong with 40K.
There's nothing wrong with formations. It was the formations they brought to 40k were mental.
Yeah.
So it's formations. Right. It's an army theme, and it's if you want, like we were talking earlier about the Dead of Dunharron. Yeah. There's a legendary legion that allows you to play the 3 hunters and the dead.
Return of the King.
Yeah. So you get to play that feel of army, that theme of army, and get bonuses that reward you for building. The force that attack the.
It kind of restricts the collection down a little bit. So you've got reduced number of selections. You can't take everything that's in the army list. They'll have a different bonuses and buffs really, and it just keeps it with the theme. Yeah. Some will be very competitive, some won't be. But the idea is that those legendary legions can be used in match play. They're match play. So you've got this campaign book, but there are extra match play lists.
Yeah.
So there are 3 places already. I suppose the only negative, there are 3 books already that you can get.
Is it similar to sort of the difference between when in AOS where you have power level, or 40k where you have power level and then points? Power level is like you can throw some stuff out and it's looser, and then when you play, but the profile comes with a match play point, so you can then dial it down and play a bit more competitive.
Not quite, because those legendary legions are fully match play armies.
Okay,
they
right.
just produce a different way of
fair
playing.
enough,
They
yeah.
should be balanced theoretically in inverted
in the
comma.
match play environment.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's where the game's at in terms of how you collect your armies and things. It's an I go, you go system,
Yeah.
which threw me a couple of times in my first games when I've done my movement and I'll go right and go on to my shooting. No, the other player's got to do their movement. It's that kind of, if you're used to playing games where you have your whole turn, it's quite a kind of, stop.
I actually had that the last time I played Heresy. I've been playing a lot of Titanicus, a lot of Necromunda, and a lot of Blood Bowl. And Blood Bowl's still my turn, your turn. It's a much shorter turn, and it's not so move, shoot, charge.
Yeah.
I was playing Heresy. I moved on models. I was like, okay. And they were like, you finished your turn? I was like, I finished my movement. You're shooting. I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, I've got to do everything now, haven't I?
Well, I had the problem in reverse, which is weird. I think it was my first round game at the event. But anyway, there is a priority system. So you roll a d6.
Yeah.
The person with the highest score has priority,
Takes the
goes turn.
initiative,
You do that each turn. So the dice rolls go with you. It can.
Yeah.
There might be turns where you don't want to go first.
Do they have a mechanic to prevent? Because you get double turn.
If you both roll the same,
Yeah.
it goes to the player that didn't have it at the time before.
Yeah. So
and there's probably other bits on.
So you don't just keep re-rolling endlessly.
No. No. So it can be that can be frustrating if you've not had priority 3 or 4 turns in a row. And you really need to go first, but it adds to the game. It's quite cool.
Yeah, it's the same with Necro and Titanicus. You think I can plan this move. But if I don't get initiative, I might have overstretched myself. It adds an element to
the game. Wouldn't be the game without it.
It's very much you have to play 2 or 3 turns ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. The turn's quite. So if you've never played it before, turns in games of like AOS and fantasy and stuff, you know the game might be 5 or 6 turns. Mm-hmm. This just goes on and on and on and on. And turns can be really, really quick. Mm-hmm. It's very rarely a turn out. I think it might be on one of the scenarios. I could be wrong, but turns are quick. They can go, especially the first few turns before you get into combat, you're just moving.
Yeah.
So you forget about turns. You're just kind of going through the process till you get to priority again.
So how do you end a game then?
Generally, it does vary, but generally is when your army breaks. So it's below a certain percentage. So 50% is when you break, and you have 25%. Yeah, when you've jumped up and down because you've flipped the table and stuff.
So when you've lost a certain amount of models, 50%,
50% for break, and sometimes it's down to 25% break point.
So that break point can change in the scenario.
It will be in there's 12 core scenarios.
Yeah,
match play ones.
Yeah.
God knows how many. Narrative ones, but 12 match play scenarios, and they all have slightly different conditions. But break point is usually the trigger for the end of the game.
Yeah.
So you might have a situation where you don't want the game to end, because you haven't achieved your objectives. So you could kill something. You might break another army, but you might lose the game because of it.
So breaking an army doesn't win you the game. You might say, right, to win the game, you've got to hold this objective.
Yeah.
But if your opponent's got the objective and you're smashing them to pieces, you could break the game.
You might get a VP for it, or 2 VPs, but you might be missing out on 6 for something else. So you do get this weird thing where people don't want to kill too many people. Yeah. So it definitely adds a tactical element. So let me go through my notes. So your turn system is very simple. It's move, then you do your magic in your movement phase. There's no separate phase for it. It's kind of buffy. It's not too. It doesn't doesn't dominate the game too much.
It's not an aggressive kind of magic.
There are some. Yeah. There are some offensive magic spells. Magic. I've not encountered a lot of it, but I get the feeling that it doesn't dominate. Combat is the main thing.
Even if you look at the universe, there are magic wielding characters in there who are powerful, but it's not like you have an army of psychers who rely on magic. So magic has its element, but it's not a dominating force.
Yeah, or when Gandalf rides out of Minas Tirith to rescue, to help guide back Faramir,
but he doesn't turn the entire army back.
Blinding light from his staff. Yeah. He doesn't blast them with a spell that there's no explosions and stuff like that.
It's powerful, but it's not all conquering.
Yeah,
that sounds like it reflects nicely in the game. Then
it's buffy and it's cool. Most of your damage is done in your combat phase. Shooting does come before combat, but shooting, I'm not going to say it's ineffective, because it can be very effective, but compared to every other war game I've ever played, people don't die very much from shooting.
From what I know of the game, there are some armies like Mordor. They've got access to crossbows, so you'll have a more reliance on crossbows. You might have more reliance on shooting in some armies than others. Just
depends. Yeah, it depends. So
there's a bow limit as well, isn't there?
There is. It's 33%. It can be. Certain armies that's removed for theme, as you imagine, with certain elves and I
So
think mounted
so with
Rohan.
that, you can only have 33% of your models armed with bows.
Arms with bows, yeah.
That's
So there's little, but again, they're not. I mean, I've got some bows in my.
Yeah.
They hit on a 4-up,
Yeah.
but they're only strength 2. So most of the time, depending who you're coming up against, but most of the time I'm needing 5, 6s, sometimes a 6, and then a 4 to
It's like
actually
using
kill
a
someone.
laser rifle.
Yeah. So they don't. You can hit, but you don't kill people as much with them.
Yeah.
It's not where you're.
You're not just going right. First thing I'm going to do is bung up my 33% bow limit like instantly. It's not it's not dominating.
It doesn't dominate. That's probably the
You
best
don't have
way
a towel.
No, you don't. Well, you probably do. I haven't come. Bearing in mind, I've only played 3-4 different armies so far. So there's a lot out there, and I'm sure if I came up against an elf shooting list, I would
You
feel
might
the pain.
revise that.
But in a very general sense, for all the people who know the game screaming that I'm wrong, in a very general sense, like you said, shooting doesn't dominate. Fighting's pretty simple.
Yeah.
You have a number of attacks. You roll a d6 for each of those attacks. The person out of the 2 pools of attacks, the highest dice wins, effectively.
So if I've got 5 attacks and you've got 4 attacks,
And we both roll all those dice.
and I get 2 3s and a couple of 1s, and you roll 1 4,
Yeah.
you win the
Of
combat.
one. If it draws, it then goes to the model's fight value.
Yeah.
So that's where the more skilled model.
Okay, so if we got 1 attack each and we both roll a 4 and you're fight value 5 and I'm fight value 4, you would then win that.
If it matches completely, then you just do a roll off, a 50-50 roll off.
Yeah.
So it's about getting models in to buff attacks.
Yeah.
So it's very kind of
It's about having as many dice as you can to up your chances of rolling 6s and 5s and stuff to win the combat.
been very it's all about positioning and placement, which is very hard to master at my kind of early stage. But it's about getting people in the attack that can't get killed as well. You can support with spears, so they can be base contact behind, but when you actually then wound to strike, so as we say you've won the combat, you then re-roll all those dice in the winning combat, not just the one that was the winning dice. Those are the strikes it will be against the other
so
side.
I roll my 5 dice, I get a 5 and win. I then pick up my 5 dice again and roll them
and
again.
you're based on the strength of the weapon. There'll be the defense of the model that you're attacking. That's how many wounds you can.
Is that a table like an old
it is.
table?
It's like an old. It's very sort of. It's the same as fantasy or 40k of old.
It's not the modern kind of if I'm 1 better than you, it's 3 and that kind of style. I haven't. What's the word for it? I haven't revised the table to know what the. So it may well be similar, but it's not set out like that.
Yeah, it's not the same table. It's not something.
The methodology is
table.
different. Yeah,
but that's the only table there. The rest of it's on there. So you got your shooting value is actually says on your profile
4 plus,
whatever plus. But that's the basics of it really. I don't want to give people a rundown of the rules. We may do a beginner sode of it in the future, and then we'll get someone that I'll have played a lot more games then, and we'll maybe get someone else who plays a lot on as well to sort of talk about it. But that gives you an idea anyway. When you build your armies, you have to build it in warbands.
Yeah.
Your heroes have different sort of levels, and those levels will equate to how many people they can have in a warband. So your top level can have 18, the next level can have 15 people. So you can limit your size of the amount of models you can take, not just by your points value, but also by the number that can be led. So my list was Survivors of Lake Town. So those of you who have watched the Hobbit films, after Lake Town's been destroyed by Smaug and they all wash up on the beach, they go to the ruined Dale, and they're in that kind of ruined area by the mountain Erebor. So it's basically loads of peasants with
cheap bodies with fish hooks.
Yeah, fish hooks and shields made out of wicker baskets and old ladies and all kinds of stuff like that. So that's the core of the troops. And then you've got a few characters. So you've got Bard the Bowman. You can have Gandalf in the list. You can have Bilbo. There's a couple of other characters that I've only just started painting up. So the list I had though was Bard with 12 dudes, so 4 spear, 4 with shields and a hand weapon, and 4 with bows. Gandalf had the same mix, and then Bilbo, I think he had 3 spears and 4 with shields. I think that was the ratio of it. I might be wrong by a model or so, but gives you the basic breakdown. My first experience of it really was that should be a horde army, and I probably didn't have enough bodies in that list.
Yeah, if you're going to go horde, you need to go properly horde.
So it's a 600 point event.
Yeah. So what's the typical kind of game? Is that 600
and
points?
you're going to ask that. And I'm glad you did, because there isn't really.
Yeah.
You still got that kind of new edition meta thing where people are saying what's the optimum size.
Yeah.
The GT's coming up in March.
Yeah.
That's the competitive one. That's going to be 700 points.
Yeah.
you have to have an army of each. So this is unusual for people who don't play systems like this.
Yeah.
So some events you'll have to have a good and an evil army to take to an event.
Yeah.
And you'll play you'll match them off against the
Yeah.
other player. This was you just took one list.
Yeah.
And it was 600 points. So 600 is a kind of, you can get it in 90 minutes. These were 90-minute rounds.
Yeah.
And I found it quite full on. I'm used to playing kind of
2.5 hours,
2.5 hours, and taking your time, because
Yeah.
the Heresy there's no competitive scene there.
Yeah.
So as a new player, and it's not a criticism, this is people are used to this, but
They
as
play.
a new player,
Yeah.
so getting used to the rules, it made it even more kind of like, whoa, this is a lot to do in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I was very conscious of trying not to
Hoard
let
up-
my newbiness take time away from my opponent
Yeah.
and maybe cost them VPs, which might cost them in
Yeah.
the final standing. So I was a bit worried about it.
And horde armies, by their nature in any game system, can be take time to move and do things. They tend to have a lot to do, so they're not conducive to fast play in general.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I came up against army. I think I'd probably outnumbered twice, or maybe even 3 times.
Yeah.
So this sort of thing. The balance of this, it then becomes about your heroes, and I not using my heroes. One thing I haven't mentioned was really important about the core of the rules. So your heroes have a slightly different stat line.
Yeah.
They have a resource management
Yeah.
system, effectively. So you've got might, will, and fate.
Yeah.
Fate you can use to basically make a save roll.
Yeah.
Well, once the fate's gone, you can't do it. Will you use to cast spells, but also to resist yourself.
Yeah.
So you've got it. Once you roll a dice for it, you cross one of these will
Yeah.
off, and you've got something called might, which is the way you make heroic actions.
Yeah.
So it might be moving first, or making a special attack, or
Yeah.
making your attack stronger, or something or other like that.
Yeah.
I guess as in detail as I'm going to go into it, but all your heroes have this. And it's the way you use your heroes and these abilities and manage that resource
Yeah.
to buff your army,
Yeah.
do things first is what wins you the games. Getting your head around whole new system's worth of rules, and then this on top. It's quite a lot, but I had some fun with it. So it's 4 rounds in a day, 90 minutes. So it's quite, as I say, it's quite a busy day. My first game was against a guy called Steve. I lost 12-0. Good first round smashing. I should say before this tournament, I'd played 2 games the 2 weeks beforehand. So I learning the game with the 600-point army. None of this kind of down the shop. Here's your kind of this is the mechanics. This is how you do this. I went 600-point army on the table. Lose practice game. Lose practice game.
One of those
straight
games
into the event.
you had to put up with me screaming next to you while I was blowing up Titans.
You did, yes. But yeah, that's the time I had, to be honest with you. I didn't paint it in time for me
Well,
to
I think
get quite
even
a
if
few
you'd
practice
have
games
had
in.
the games you'd intended to have, I don't think your intention would be to go down there as a competitive player to win. That's not...
My intention is never to be a competitive player.
You just-
I'm just not wide like that. I'm never going to do it. But it's not...
Yeah.
I can't see... If we sit here in a year's time and I'm still playing this game, which I will be, I've got no doubt about
You'll
it.
probably be more competent and confident.
I'll be confident,
playing
but
it.
I'm still going to be going to events and maybe winning 1 or 2
Yeah.
games and being down the bottom half of the table. That's just the way it happens. But I played I haven't brought them down here. I should have brought them down for you to have a look at. But the scenarios. So this one was capture and control.
Yeah.
It's effectively an objective in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
And then 4 more.
Yeah.
So I think it's 12 inches
Spread around,
in each, not spread around, actually as a cross.
As a cross.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one in each
centre.
corner of the one on each sort of side
Top,
of the
bottom,
board.
yeah.
And
So-
one in the middle.
And then your deployment zones are 12 and then 24 inches on. So you roll to see where you deploy your bits. I deployed terribly. I wasn't aggressive enough on the objectives.
Yeah.
The idea is you kind of you go base to base, you tag it, it becomes yours. So
Yeah.
you could tag it and then move on.
Yeah.
So I deployed really kind of wishy-washily.
Yeah.
And I was up against I think it was a Mordor army.
Yeah.
I think it was pure Mordor. I think he had the same number, if not maybe 1 or 2 models less.
Yeah.
They're all harder to kill. They all hit harder, and it was kind of...
And he was on to the objective.
And it was onto the objective straight away. So, and then again, me not knowing what I'm doing, my heroes, yeah, it was. I lost the game by turn 2. I think
Yeah.
I was firefighting at that point.
Yeah.
I won't say any more about it because I can't remember turn by
Yeah.
turn, and no one wants to hear that anyway, really.
Yeah.
But so game 2 was Fog of War. This I quite like this scenario. This is quite good fun. This is against a guy called Matt. He's a local, Matt Batchelor. You have to pick a hero that you're going to protect.
Yeah.
If he's alive, you get a VP. If there's been no wounds on him, you get 3 VPs.
Yeah.
You have to pick an enemy to kill. If you get a wound on him, you get 1. If you actually kill him, you get 3 VPs. And you have to pick a building or terrain piece on your opponent's side of the table, which you want to get some models into. And I can't remember, it might be 1 VP for that as well, and then you get a VP or so
there's
for
lots of
cool
unknowns
stuff.
of what to go, and you're trying to work out what your opponent's doing as well as what you're doing, and protect your guy while being.
It's really good. You'll have a read of these, because I think when you do your make up your own scenarios for heresy events.
Yeah, there's some good inspiration.
Some of these
there.
will just be able to copy straight across.
Yeah.
You could easily do it. So really nice scenarios. But anyway, I lost 9-6, so I got some victory points in this. It was quite tight. I managed to kill the guy that I wanted to, and managed to keep my guy alive. I didn't get anywhere near the terrain piece, and I let him get in mine, and that was the difference, really.
Yeah.
And I can see that was the first game I've played, and I went, actually, I could have seen where I might have changed one thing, and that would have changed the game. With the others, the first 3 games I ever played, I lost, and
you were concentrating
I couldn't
more
see a
on,
way to win.
You would concentrate more on remembering your rules at that point. You start to get confident with how your army works, and you can start looking at the game then, and you're going to turn the game, the game you're playing thing, and you start concentrating less on what does that model do and what do I have to do to fight. And you start thinking, all right, I kind of got that. Now I'm thinking about what I needed to do to win the game. Yeah, you do have that turning point with most games.
At the end of it, I was thinking, I could have done this, and that would have changed the game. So I wasn't completely smashed, and I was happy to get some VP. I think halfway through the game, I was thinking, I'm going to make sure I get some VPs from this, even if I don't win. I don't want another
I want to score
nil,
something,
because I don't want to get to the end of. I think by that second round, I thought, right, my goal for the tournament is I'm probably going to lose 4 games, but if I lose 4 games, I don't want to lose 12-0, 12-0, 12-0.
Yeah,
I want to get some VPs. So. Really enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed the scenario. I didn't say I was fighting it, so I played a Gondor, but it's like a Rangers of Athelion kind of list. Faramir, loads of bows. Again, I think I was close to being outnumbered on that. So this whole kind of, I've got cheap troops that die easily, but will outnumber and swamp. I wasn't able to use that, and it's me rather than the list. Jeremy wrote the list for me. So Jeremy, I don't know if he listens to this. He listens to our main Heresy show. So Jeremy Hunthorpe of the Green Dragon podcast listens to our Heresy show and has helped us out with the spreadsheet stuff.
You use your internet connections to get your list.
I fired him a message on Facebook Messenger and said, back in November, said I'm going to get into the game. I want to do Survivors of Lake Town, I think. What do you think? And he sent me back like 6 or 7 lists. And the 600-point list I took to this was the one he sent me. It's me not knowing how to use the list was the major issue. Not knowing how to use Bilbo correctly. Yeah. If I changed it myself,
seems from the outside, he seems like he's not an obvious character to be like, right, he's a punchy, fighty character. He's one of those ones. Obviously, he seems like you need to use him the right way. He has certain things he's going to bring to an army, and you need to use it right.
Yeah, and it was too much my brain capacity at this stage, and it's for other people it wouldn't be, but the way I game, it was too just getting my head around Gandalf and all his spells, and then how to use Bard. I think I used Gandalf okay most of the time I played him. Funny enough, I thought that'd be the one to struggle with, but I've not used Bard or Bilbo, but to the best. I would have preferred to have more bodies than Bilbo in retrospect, but that's more to do with me. People are going, why would you want to do that? But it's more to do with me being simple.
You're talking about an army from the point of view of somebody who's learning to play the game rather than actually...
Give me all the simple stuff that I know what to do with, So game 3 was against Ben Crane. He's another local. I think he's from Strauss. I don't know if he games at Incomp that much, but he's definitely one of the local SPG players. And this was Heirlooms of Ages Past. So you take turns effectively to put down 6 objectives on the table. And then you've got random deployment. So you roll a dice and you might get to choose which side. If you roll, another result might be the opponent gets to decide where they're going to put you.
So models end up everywhere.
Yeah, and that's the first few turns of the game. And then you have to go and you have to go to these objectives, and only one of these objectives is the heirloom. Yeah. So you roll a dice. Yeah. And on a 6 is the heirloom. If not, it's removed from play. So you're kind of all rushing towards the ones that you can see.
Potentially you could actually end up with nothing on the table. Or is
no. Once you've got one left, once you're down to the last one, that automatically then becomes the heirloom.
So that'd be quite fun though if it just nope, touch it.
No, well, the whole focus of the game, you get 6 VPs for holding it at the end of the game. It's not getting off the table, it's holding
just
the bloody
getting
thing
it
in the game. I was really lucky. So we kind of did what gamers do. You stay your side of the table, and we put down 3 on spread across your half, and the other player did. So we kind of had them laid out like 2 rows of 3, and it was my centre one right in the my side of the deployment. And so I had the heirloom fairly quickly. Yeah. He was running effectively Sauron and some orcs.
Yeah.
And Sauron's a bit of a, but you don't even need to play the game. If you've seen Lord of the Rings, you can probably imagine that Sauron's a bit of a beast.
Yeah.
And I've got these guys that
Chaff.
just so it's kind of like, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna die.
Just going to put as many
So I just
bodies in front of him as I can.
and that's all I did really. Just tried to hold
tie
on.
him up.
And he kept not. Oh, I can't even know what spell it is, but he kept knocking the guy down, which meant he'd killing him, and meant he dropped it to someone else had to pick it up.
Yeah.
But you couldn't pass this heirloom on.
Yeah.
So eventually, Bilbo was able to pick it up.
Yeah.
This is the time where he's useful because you can make Bilbo invisible. You can he's quite small as well, so for true line of sight, you can hide him behind stuff better. But even though I was taking a pasting on the table, I was able to hold on to the heirloom. Yeah. So that's the only victory points I got. 6.
There you go, that's done.
But
good help.
he lost. I managed to kill his banner. So quite often a victory tradition in all these scenarios is if you've got a banner on the table, you get a VP for it.
Banners bring bonuses to your army as well.
You get re-rolls.
So that is the negative side of bringing lots of banners is you end up with losing points to them if you lose.
Well,
them.
no, you don't lose the points in a negative, as in he would have gained a victory point if he had banners left, that banner left on the table. But he left it out, and I was able to pick it off with some bowfire, I think. But anyway, I won 6-4, so it was a close win. It felt like a loss, but I had this heirloom at the end, which is
you played the mission. How often do we talk about it all the time? In games, I won because I played the mission, or I lost because I got distracted from the mission and was killing stuff.
And we got through a lot of. I mean, it's 90-minute round. If we played for another 15-20 minutes, he would have just slowly killed everything, and he would have had it. So,
but you played to the game, which is when you play in tournament, it's how you win games.
Absolutely, and I mean, I've probably got loads of elements of these. So please don't write and say, "Well, you forgot this condition." This is a very general overview of it, but. That was the second time I played that scenario. I played the second practice game, the game where you were shouting there. So we played it then as well. So it's good fun. But it did give a list of my. Well, I don't know what I'm doing with the list. It gives me a very clear objective.
Yeah.
Something I can try and do is hold on to this. Yeah. Whereas if it's just kind of straight up fight, I'll be like, well, what do I do against Sauron? So it was a good scenario probably to have against that opponent for me. And then final game was Domination. This was another objective based type of game.
So is it quite a lot of objective based scenarios? It sounds like
there are. I mean, I've not even read all 12.
Yeah.
Mel, who was the TO of the event, announced what the scenarios were going to be. Yeah. So I didn't read any of the others.
We absolutely focus on what you need to learn.
I'll skim through the others, but objectives are quite a big point. But there are some different ones in there. That's good. So these were you placed them rather than preset. So this is very, in some ways, similar to the first round game. Yeah. But you actually placed these ones. Yeah. So I played against Henry, who's local as well, and I lost 8-2 here.
Spoiler alert.
What did he have? He had it was Harad, I believe. I think it was just Harad. So he had some cav and he had some bows. He had more bows than I did. His guys in combat fought better, and I'm pretty sure he had about the same amount of models as me as well. Almost exactly the same. So, and again, it was me not really knowing the most useful effect.
How to get the best out of what you've played.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I was only using 2 or 3 spells with Gandalf each game, so maybe kind of getting used to being the situational nature of the game and thinking I'll use this spell here. And I think this is the first time I used a spell which actually helped against bowfire, so I used a little bubble to keep some guys alive. I was behind the 8 ball, should we use that cliche? Yeah. Probably from turn 3 or so, and I was already thinking, I'm not going to get that objective. I'm not going to get that one. So it did become I want to make sure that I score some VPs rather than get a nil. But that was the 4 games really. Let me go through and actually tell people who won the events, just in case anyone knows who they are, etc., etc. So, first place with a guy called Adam Donahoe. Second place was David Clubley. And third place was Callum Edens. I know the second and third place are names on the scene. Yeah. It's a 28 player event as well, which is quite decent size.
Good turnout, yeah.
They get quite similar size events to Heresy actually. It seems like a similar size scene. Wooden Spoon was Ryan Dudridge. So best overall painting wasn't me. It was a guy called Scott Whitefoot. Let me explain how it works. So I got, Mr. Thomas, you've already said earlier in the show, best painter. So I got best painted army.
Yeah.
Normally at SPG events, you have your best painted army. Yeah. So Mel put on some extra painting competitions to raise money for cancer charity. So one of the local Ian Baldwin, one of the local SPG players, passed away last year, I believe it was.
Yeah.
I don't know him personally, so he passed away last year, and they've done a lot of things to raise money for some of the charities that helped him and his family around the time he was ill. So I think, I can't remember how much he raised. I think it was £100 or something on the day. So you could pay money to enter these extra painting competitions.
And the money being paid was a donation.
Exactly. So you had the best army, which was standard for the event, and then there was a best hero, there was a battle company, there was a duel, monster, or war engine, and diorama.
And these could be models that you weren't using in the event as well. So it was almost like a standalone.
You could take stuff in. I really wanted to paint something up for it. I just didn't have time with all the commission work and stuff I've got. I did enter a model into single. I took my unmounted bard, because you have a mounted mod version and an unmounted. So I took my unmounted bard and shoved him in. Just I paid a quid.
Give you an excuse to give another donation as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a quid to charity, but everything was in my army, so I couldn't put anything on display there. So I got best painted army. Scott Whitefoot got best painted hero. Dewey Evans got best painted battle company. Scott Whitefoot again got best painted duel and best painted monster, which is a cave drake. And then Shane Carvin Moore got best painted diorama. So. And what happened then? You had this voting slip with all of these things on. You picked first, second, third. Yeah. And it's anonymous as well. So you had a slip with a number by your army. Yeah. So people weren't going around voting by name.
And things, yeah.
I don't know how it works with people in the scene. They might recognise armies. For me, I didn't have a clue whose army was what. So you're voting first, second, third for each category. And then at the bottom, you picked your overall best for the whole event. Yeah. And Scott's Cave Drake won that. Hence, he got best painted for the event, and I got the army. So people that are used to...
Yeah, he got the best painted thing at the event. And you got the best painted army as a whole.
That's right, yeah. So, I mean, the GBHL league, so there is a league where these results go off to, and they have an event. They had a artisans award this year, which is like a person that wins the most best painters. I don't know how it all works out exactly. So Scott's name went forward for that basically. So it's quite interesting, rewarding the hobby side of it as well as because it's a competitive event. But overall, really good fun, even though it was sort of frantic. Bearing in mind how many events we've done with Heresy, and spent the amount of hours we've spent in Incom drinking and spent a lot of times. I've realised how much time I spend sitting down.
When you play the tournament,
we record when we're there. Sometimes I'm sitting behind a spreadsheet. People are coming up,
and shout at people and heckle things.
My back was screwed the next day. Really, really bad. There was one. I played one of my round. I think it was my round 3 game against Ben. The table was on one of the smaller bar tables. They're really low. They're really low. And I'm not that tall.
I don't like using those.
The next day, I got out of bed and was like, oh my God, I hurt. I thought I'd feel like I normally do. But
I know we're sidetracking into Heresy, but this is one of the reasons, because Heresy is not a non-competitive game, essentially. It's a narrative game. Why we're moving to the idea of 2 games on a Saturday and 2 games on a Sunday, rather than 3 games on a Saturday. Because again, we're playing 2.5 hour, 3 hour games in Heresy. Yeah. And standing around for 9 hours in a day playing a game fucking screws your back. So I can see how you feel. They're only 90-minute games, but you play
41. I'm an old man and my back already goes anyway. But I did feel it the next day.
I usually feel it. When I've been playing for a weekend, I get to quite often do a Heresy weekenders and stuff. And you come by Sunday evening, my legs are hurting, my feet are hurting, my back's hurting by the time I get back. And it's a brutal day when you're on your feet for 9-10 hours during the day.
Really enjoyed it though, because I don't go to events to play. I do more the kind of sitting beside you, helping you run the events. So really good fun. Mel runs a really tight ship on the events as well. Yeah. So it's just so much work. So he sent out a spreadsheet a couple of days before with everyone's army list on. He's produced a thing with your army list breakdown with your special rules on it, your bonus and stuff. It's a massive spreadsheet with.
Can you imagine if I tried to do that for Heresy?
Oh my God,
it'd be wrong, flat out wrong.
There's a lot of work, and he hands this out for you to take around with you on the day as well. It's
that's awesome.
He puts a lot of work into it. Bearing in mind it was 90-minute rounds.
Yeah, you haven't got a lot of time to.
It ran to time, just bang, 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 and there was plenty of time at lunch for people to go around and vote. Yeah. Super, super efficient.
Yeah.
But it was great. It was great. It was nice to see so many painted awards. I don't think that's standard. It'll be the same every time, but nice to see so many painted awards and things, and people really enthused about bringing their kind of display level models and things along.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. Some cool prizes. I got a painting station, a TT Combat one. I won for winning best painted, and that's now my son's.
Yeah.
And he loves it. And I've given him some old paints, and it's
he can do what Dad does now.
It's really cool, and he loves it. And it was. So yeah, I want a paint station. I was on commission pay. What I'm going to do with it? Well, perfect. So
it's brilliant.
He loves it, and it sounded really cheesy and kind of soppy, but I loved bringing that home to him. The next day, he's saying, "Daddy, how do you enjoy your gaming?" Yeah. Yes, and I've got you this. I've won this. This is yours, and it's kind of really, really nice event.
Yeah.
And I'm. Looks like he's going to be Mel's going to be running more events there.
Yeah.
Looks like end of April, May time maybe.
Yeah.
And with the first baby coming along, I'm going to miss that one.
Yeah.
Oh, it should be a shame. I don't normally if I miss an event,
miss the event, or you've been missing your testicles.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I will try and do, because a lot of these are 1 day events. I will try to get to at least one more this year. I think there's one in Bristol in June. I might try and make, but and hopefully Mel runs one in the autumn time, and I can get to that. But like the game, we'll definitely be playing more of it this year. If you're SBG curious. Definitely give it a go. It's actually quite low cost to get into.
And there's a lot of plastics and stuff.
There's a lot of stuff on eBay. There's a lot of very expensive stuff on eBay because a lot of it went OOP, but still in the game.
You can get a lot of the core troops and stuff pretty easily. There's lots of ways to get them. Because I did build up a little Mordor army that I was going to build and paint a couple of years ago, but got sidetracked by it. And it didn't cost me all that much to get.
You can get stuff definitely very cheap. The Pelennor set is incredible value. So you get the hardback book in there.
Yeah,
that's
if you've got a mate to split that with.
You get it for around 75, I think. It's about 75, 76 from Incom.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind it's a £90 box, £95 box.
And it's already a deal at that price.
And you can go and buy, if you've seen them on Forge World, there's some new Mordor and characters now. You could go and buy those, add them to the plastics you got in. Your evil army in the box is really good. You've got 36 Moran and Orcs. I think you've got a troll and a fell beast.
Yeah.
So
you're well on your way there.
And you've got 2 riders. You can have the Witch King or you can have a normal Nazgul. But I've magnetised them, and if you get a plastic horse, you can put them on horses. Do you know what I mean? You've got so much there. You just need a couple of heroes to play the game properly under the warband system.
I mean, what are you talking for a hero? You're talking a couple of quid for a single figure, aren't you? You're not talking 30, 40, 50
eBay,
quid.
you could probably pick up a couple of cheap things, but even then you could go to new Forge World. Forge World aren't cheap, we know that. You can pick up the latest 2 Forge World models, 20 quid.
That's what I mean. So, you're talking 20 quid for those extra heroes.
You could spend 20 quid and have, I'm guessing the points here, but you could spend 20 quid and have 700-800 point Mordor list. If you don't like that,
if 600-700 points seems to be the you're well in as an army in a box.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you use the dead like I have, and then go and buy the £20, £25 3 Hunters box. So then you've got the army of the dead ones. So there are some very cheap ways of getting into the game if you want to get in and sort of if you a little bit curious.
Paint so many models for Rowan.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with the dismounts, but they're quite expensive as well. I'll talk to you about one of their lists later. You might be interested, but we will. It's going to be something that comes up on the show because I'll be doing some painting this year. We won't make it probably a topic for a little while yet, but once I've been playing for maybe 6 months or so and know a bit more about it, maybe I'll get one of the local players to come and join us, and we'll do a bit of a beginner sode if people are interested. If you're a non-SBG player and you're interested by this, let us know.
Yeah. Awesome. I think we'll probably run out for a little break then.
Lord Marshal Great, sir. Legion reinforcements now visible on the left flank.
About time. The wolves, I see.
No, sir. Ultramarines, sir.
But they're wearing grey, Proclamator Fennec.
Fox message said new recruits, sir. No time to paint armour.
At least the Raven Guard are in black armour.
Sorry, sir. That's more Ultramarines.
For Emperor's sake, box them and find out why.
Also new armour, sir. Their eye lenses are red, and the bolt guns are silver. 3 colours minimum, sir.
What the? Get on the Vox now and tell them to contact Miniature Realm Studio.
Miniature Realm Studio, sir?
Yes, Fennec. Miniature Realm Studio offers a commission painting service, competitive rates, and a range of painting standards to suit most budgets and requirements.
Yes, sir. I suppose they do say that fully painted is for closers.
What does that even mean, Fennec?
I don't know, sir.
Miniature Realms Studio can be found on Facebook, on Twitter at Miniature Realms, on Instagram at Miniature Realms Studio, or just drop Stuart an email at miniaturerealmsstudio@gmail.com.
And we're back again, just to say goodbye, really. Bye.
Bye.
No. Thanks for listening.
Hopefully it's not been too weird and rambly and off topic, but I just enjoyed sitting here and not having to talk much. People are going to fucking love this because I'm not talking that much.
This was probably the most me talking in a show ever. It's usually about 70% you, isn't it? So
No matter how hard you try to talk.
we're back to back to next show we do for this will probably be back to normal.
Heresy.
Well, no. The next Heresy show will be normal Heresy. We'll be back to you talking, and we're gonna change it around who leads the shows with this. So
Yeah.
if you are a regular listener to G52 stuff, it won't be me just running the show and Tom running the other one. We'll just swap it around depending on what the topic is, and because there was so much SPG stuff in this, because I've been playing it and you haven't, I kind of led in the show. But next time it might be Necromunda, and then you will.
I'll take
you'll
a bit
do
of
the
a
lead on
so,
that
yeah.
one. So it'll chop and change a little bit depending on what the topic is. We probably won't have quite such a lengthy random section at the beginning. We'll have a kind of what you've been up to, but that will be I've painted this and done this and bought this.
Hopefully I'll have painted something.
Something we forgot to mention earlier. We're talking about games we play. You've seen it's only a teaser at the moment, but Age of Sigmar, Warcry.
I've seen a video and I've got no idea anything about it.
It looks like it's basically Age of Sigmar Kill Team, isn't it? So it's going to be like
I imagine it will be because they would like to have that format's worked so well in 40k.
I imagine that might be something that interests us
we'll probably
based
end
on
up
the things
playing
we've been
that
talking about. I thought we should have mentioned it earlier, but other than that, we won't keep rambling on anymore.
Yeah.
Please check out our sponsors. You've heard the adverts. Listen to my Miniature Realms painting advert, which is terrible. Please check out Incom Gaming.
Are you going to have to do a less heresy-based heresy-based?
I will record a new one at some point anyway, because I'm bored of hearing it myself now. So I imagine the people that listen to the show are as well. Please check out our other sponsors as well. Or if you want dice bags, check out Grey Dead Dice Bags.
Yeah.
If you are in the Gloucestershire area, do check out Incom Gaming. So all the jokes of strippers aside,
and just go on the website and buy shit as well.
Yeah, buy stuff, come down for gaming and stuff. It's a really great local venue, loads of space, and you can drink beer while you're playing games.
And there's a really good mixed scene of games being played down there. It's usually a really big.
Pretty much get a game of anything.
Yeah, you can put it. There's somebody playing anything. Somebody playing stuff. There's a big group, so if you want to play games, it's definitely go down there and get in there.
Check us out on social media. So we have existing social media because Gino's been going for a long time. So there's a main G52 podcast page. That tends to be just us posting up links to when shows come out. And we will be launching a new group for this show. So G52OpenPlay. So if you search that at time of listening, you will find that group.
Yeah.
You might find all the other Gino ones as well. So there's a Gino52 podcast group, which is all heresy chatter, really. We're the same on Instagram and on Twitter and stuff
everything.
as
Yeah,
well.
you search
So
Gino52 podcast, you'll find us.
whatever your favourite kind of social media is.
We should probably make a LinkedIn
We're not on
page.
Tinder or Grindr or anything like that.
Wow.
You, won't. You might be told. Hopefully not as Gino52.
I'm definitely on there on Grindr.
So on that note,
Wonderful finish as always.
thank you for listening. Take care, and you'll hear us at some point in the future when we can be asked to do another one of these.
Yeah. See you later, guys.